We target larger organizations, so we have 87 of the Fortune 100, about 70% of the Fortune 500. And these are some of the companies you mentioned, but others like Lockheed Martin, Wyndham, Cisco, Department of Defense, major banks, Lilly. So it really spans all industries, all geos. We're a global company. And the goal is helping identify the blind spots.
In this episode, I'm talking to Karl Bergh, CMO of Gigamon, the number one leader in the deep observability market. They're working with major clients like Apple, Cisco, and Under Armour. We're going to talk about, number one, the company's history. They went from being a startup to then going public to then going private again in a recent acquisition valued at $1.7 billion. Number two, the top three marketing buckets that Karl manages: channel partners, new market creation, and operations. And also how he exceeds in each of these buckets. And number three, we're going to try to figure out things like the company's revenues, his thoughts on AI and decryption. And lastly, how much does Karl make as the CMO of this major company? And every time he cannot answer a question, we both have to take a shot of hot sauce. Wish me luck, Martians. Hope you enjoy this one. Hello, Martians. Welcome back to another episode of Marketing on Mars. Today, I'm in an undisclosed location outdoors, so there's going to be a little bit of sound. I'm going to try my best to mute myself, but I'm super happy today. Today's guest is calling all the way from the San Francisco Bay Area, correct?
Correct.
Karl Bergh. He is currently the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer at a company called Gigamon. Gigamon essentially is a network security company, and they help organizations uncover blind spots. They work with major companies like Apple, T-Mobile, and more. We're going to dive into everything Gigamon related. We're going to dive into Karl's career success story and just kind of like how he got to where he was at. But first of all, Karl, thank you for coming on the show.
Great to be here, Simon. Thanks a lot. And I'm excited, especially at the hot sauce. So we'll see what we get to there.
Yeah. So maybe let's start there. There's a tradition on the show. I told you about it a couple of weeks ago. We always start off the show with a shot of hot sauce. It gets everything started. It gets the mood light and fun. And every single time throughout the interview, I'm going to ask you tough questions because as a CMO myself, I want to know all the secrets. I want to know what you guys are doing, exactly all, like how much you guys are spending, things that you probably wouldn't share in public a lot of times. And every single time you cannot answer a question, we take another shot of hot sauce, plead the fifth, and then we move on with the interview. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So I got a wall of hot sauce behind me. I had a little bit of food, so I'm going to start off with habanero, which is on that side, and I'm going to work my way towards Carolina Reaper towards me. So I'll start with a habanero. What's your weapon of choice today?
That's my poison. So as we talked about before, I just don't do hot sauce. So this is special. You're getting special treatment here, Simon. I grew up on French cuisine in Ireland, and I never touched an ounce of hot sauce until I was in my 30s. So I'm doing sriracha. But you told me it was shot, so I actually brought a shot glass, and so
okay, nice. Which sriracha? Yeah.
This is the sriracha. It's kind of
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully we can finish half of that bottle today.
I don't think so. I think I'll divulge company secrets before I drink all of this.
All right, so I'm gonna lift up the lid, and I'm gonna do it for the audience. Pour it right into the spoon for the audience here.
Whoa.
A little bit of a big spoon, but we'll, I had some lunch, so I think I'm okay.
All right. I got my shot here.
Oh wow, you went heavy. Yeah, feel free to just do the quarter shot.
I think it's gonna be like a sipping tequila situation here. So
yeah, it's like a wine tasting, but a little different. Okay, cheers.
All right, cheers.
Okay.
Oh.
You know what, Karl? I think I don't like hot sauce as well. Ugh, it's
You came
bad.
up with the idea, right, Simon? It was your
Turn it
idea.
up. So today I'm drinking water, just natural spring water, as my chaser.
Yeah, I was considering bringing milk actually, but probably would have been better.
Yeah, it honestly, it doesn't do anything. It just spreads the pain around. All right, Karl. So I kind of gave a little bit of an intro to Gigamon. Let's start with Gigamon first, and then we'll get into your background a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Gigamon. I've kind of explained a little bit, but give us the elevator pitch. What does Gigamon do, and how do you guys make money?
Yeah. So the company's been around for a while. We're actually going to be hitting our 20-year anniversary next year. We're, I would say, a mid-sized company in terms of tech. So this may be one of your questions, but I'll preempt it. We're about $500 million in size and in terms of revenue. And then what's our focus? Our focus really is on helping organizations secure the hybrid cloud infrastructure. And that's every organization across every industry. The company has, we tend to we'll target larger organizations. So we have 87 of the Fortune 100, about 70% of the Fortune 500. And these are some of the companies you mentioned, but others like Lockheed Martin, Wyndham, Cisco, Department of Defense, major banks, Lilly. So it really spans all industries, all geos. We're a global company. And the goal is, and what we help with is helping identify the blind spots. So where on the network across your hybrid infrastructure, where do you have blind spots? That could be in encrypted traffic, that could be in your public cloud, that could be in your data center, that could be in unmanaged devices. And once we uncover those blind spots, we're basically getting the data. We send it to the tools, the security tools or the performance management tools that manage the infrastructure, because the tools are only as good as the data they see. Right? If you can't see, you can't manage, you can't secure, you can't ensure performance. And so our product allows the organizations to see everything.
Wow. Okay, cool. So you guys also do, I guess you also try to break in as if you guys are hackers or something like that and just try to uncover blind spots that way?
No. So the way we do it is we essentially get the data from the network, from everywhere on the network, and then we funnel it into the tools. And in the collection and the funneling, we do a lot of processing of the data. And so the tools, whether it be security tools or performance management tools, they only get the data that they need. So it's actually more cost efficient as well. That's a big benefit. We this is a product that pays for itself in 6 months, even though it's a 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure product, depending on the company. But it pays for itself in 6 months because it really reduces the data that is being fed to the tools. It only gives the tools the data that they really need. And then we simplify, because today infrastructure has become so complicated. It's impossible to and that's one of the biggest concerns that CIOs and CISOs have is, I don't know what I don't know, right? And so we kind of take away that, that gap, if you will, in their knowledge. And as the post in the background says, bad things happen when you don't see the threat. And so we uncover the threats. Now we will partner. You were saying, hey, do you have kind of a hacker team that goes in? No, but we'll partner with organizations who do that for our customers, so we can show and demonstrate the value of what our product brings.
Wow. Okay. Well, you took one of my hot sauce questions. I was going to ask you the revenue, but okay, it seems like you guys do about half a billion, so about $500 million. So that puts you guys up there in the top companies in the world. Pretty big, pretty large in size. Now, your company has had a little bit of a interesting history. You guys were a startup, went public, private again.
Private,
Tell us a little bit about the history and I guess the recent acquisition.
Yeah. So yes, said started in 2004, hence the 20-year anniversary next year. Startup here in the Valley, and then grew quickly, went public. I was in the public market for a number of years, and then about 5 years ago was taken private. Taken private for a couple of reasons. One, like many other companies, we were initially predominantly hardware company, perpetual license, focused on the data center. And so in order to transform the company to software heavy focused, cloud-based subscription or recurring revenue, that's easier done as a private company than a publicly traded company. And so Absolutely. We took that transformation, and we're 5 years in that journey, and the company is now predominantly recurring subscription revenue. We are very, very focused on the hybrid cloud. It's our triple-digit growth in our cloud business, and most of what we do now is software. Most of the IP that we have is software. So significant transformation over the last 5 years. And I've been on board about that amount of time, and it's been a fantastic journey.
Wow. And so with the most recent acquisition, can you disclose, was a valuation disclosed?
Yeah, so we were taken private by Elliott, which is it was actually the PE firm or subsidiary within Elliott. Evergreen, it was called Evergreen at the time. It's called LEP. Elliott, for those who don't know, is the hedge fund, one of the most successful hedge funds on Wall Street. Known as a little bit of a corporate agitator, but they're extremely successful, and they've been great partners actually for us in these 5 years. And they took us private for, and this is public information, so I don't get to drink hot sauce in this one. 1.6 billion in 2018.
Wow. Okay. 2018, 1.6. What's the current valuation?
Yeah, that one. I'll probably have to take a hot sauce on that one.
Okay. Well, I mean, is it good? Good? Bad?
It's definitely better. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely grown.
Okay. All right. I'll stick with this one. One more habanero, and then
all right. Yeah, I got one here. It's to me fine.
All right. Cheers. We were doing so well with the answers.
We were. I thought it escaped.
So obviously, with a big you're working with, like you mentioned, 85, 87 of the top 100 Fortune 500, 100 companies.
Yeah.
You guys already have a lot of market share, and you're working with some of the largest companies.
Yep.
What more are you guys doing nowadays in terms of marketing? Now that you have some of the world's largest clients already.
Yeah. So it's a great question. So what do you do in our position? And I guess there's two paths, right? You've got the companies who start off, I would say, as sort of mid-market and kind of grow up into enterprise, and then there's companies in enterprise and kind of expand. And there's challenges of both, by the way. So for us, two things. One, because these are such large organizations, and we have customers who spend tens of millions of dollars with us every year. That it's kind of never ending how much expansion you can do. The typical, when we land a customer, over time, we grow the initial sale 15x with that customer. So and that's, I would say, an average. So 15 times the initial land, we will get over the next 5 to 7 years.
Meaning they will. Oh, not that they'll stay with you for 15 years. It means that the ACV will increase.
Yeah, the ACV of, let's say we sold for $100,000. So
Yeah.
we will get 50x that over the next 5 years.
Wow.
But many of our customers start at a 7-figure, right? So you take it from there, right? So our customers expand significantly. And so one part of our marketing strategy is obviously customer expansion with our existing customer base. And we have about 5,000 of these large organizations. The second is, and then this often comes, we have a big channel play. So we have hundreds, not thousands, of channel partners around the world that sell our product. And so working with them to expand beyond the global 5,000. And the software piece and the cloud piece are a big part of that. How do you make it easier and easier for, I would say, smaller organizations to buy our product? And so that's also a motion that we're working on.
So increasing the LTV of your current customer base, that's probably the number one priority. Number two is working with channel partners. What about new? Do you do a lot of brand awareness stuff? Demand gen on your own?
Yeah. So it is a combination. The part of our awareness, or part of what we're doing, and if you go to our website, you'll hear a lot about deep observability. And this is something that is always a tough decision to make when you're a CMO and when you're an organization. Do you create a new market category or not? I mean, sometimes it happens, right? Especially as a startup, if it's a new offering, you're doing something truly innovative, you're kind of forced into that position. In our case, we had a little bit of a decision to make. We were a leader in our current market, but we saw a big opportunity with the hybrid cloud. As I said, initially we were focused on the data center, optimizing and removing blind spots within the data center. We saw a big opportunity in the cloud, in the hybrid cloud, but that required the creation of a new market. And so the tack that we took, it's kind of a hybrid approach, is we decided to position ourselves in adjacency to an existing emerging market, which is the observability market, with a specialization that we call deep observability. And I can get into that later. But back to your question, a big part of our job and a big part of the marketing team's job right now is creating that new category. So you've got to educate, you've got to build awareness, you've got to build an ecosystem that will support, so you're not the only person or the only organization talking about it. And so that's a lot of what we've done in the last couple of years. And then obviously building demand around that. And we do that directly. So my team spends a lot of their time building direct demand. And we also then work with the channel to drive demand.
Okay. So that's very interesting. Creating a brand new market, that is difficult.
It's tough. Yeah.
What out of the three priorities right now, with the channel partners, working with your existing clients to increase LTV, and then creating the new market, which of those three do you think is the hardest thing for a CMO, especially in your position?
Creating a new market category is really is hard. And I said to the team, normally this requires tens of millions of dollars and many years.
Oh yeah.
And we're kind of impatient and we're a little bit stingy. So I said, we don't have tens of millions and we don't have many years. So let's get creative. And I think that the team's done a fantastic job, actually. And so I'll credit the execution of the team for sure. I'll also credit the fact that the market is coming to us. So one of the challenges, as you know, like the move to cloud over the last few years has been significant. We're going through this kind of hype cycle. And the way a hype cycle goes, there's kind of like, there's the peak of inflated expectations and you get into a trough of disillusionment. And I think we're in this trough of disillusionment coming to kind of the plateau of productivity. And in that, so what what happened in the trough, right? And the cloud is meant to solve everything. Like it was supposed to be the easy button, take away all your problems, infrastructure as a service. And then people found out, well, hey, it introduces additional complexity. It's more expensive than we thought. There are new problems that arise. So it's kind of like it was great, and it is great, but it introduces a whole set of challenges. And so we saw, for us, that really is kind of was an opportunity, because that complexity can be solved for, or at least we can help solve for that complexity if we give you visibility, if we show you what's happening in your cloud infrastructure. Because today, all of that is abstracted, right? The cloud provider manages the infrastructure, right? You get to put your applications and build your applications on top of the infrastructure that they provide.
Yeah.
But they've abstracted away the infrastructure. The challenge is that when you don't have visibility in the infrastructure, that infrastructure actually impacts your applications. It introduces security vulnerabilities, because this shared security model where you're responsible basically for everything on top of the infrastructure, but there's an interdependence. And so what people are realizing is they actually need visibility into the infrastructure. Like you have in the data center, you can see what's happening at the network layer, you can see what's happening at the application layer. In the cloud, people need that visibility into network layer, and we provide that visibility. And so the market is coming to us. So back to your question, yes, it's definitely a challenging thing to create a market. You've got to you got to pick the right time if you're too early.
Right.
And we started this journey on cloud, 5-6 years ago. And I'd say we're really hitting our stride in the last couple of years, because the market awareness is coming, and the team has done a really good job in execution. We could talk a little bit about what we've done to kind of grab the market's attention. But those are kind of the two pieces.
I would love to dive into that. Maybe we talk a little bit about this new market creation, because it's such a difficult thing. And I think a lot of listeners, a lot of marketers today are probably struggling with this entering the market. Maybe not a new market creation, but even entering a market in itself and gaining brand awareness is difficult. And you're creating a new market. That adds another level of complexity. Yeah. So maybe let's start there, and then maybe we can brush a little bit upon channel partners, how you work with them, and just like what your experience. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how are you gaining the market's attention? I assume a lot of it right now is talking to existing clients, right? Because they're already the largest of the large companies, and trying to educate them on this new market. Is that
So
is that correct?
So for sure. I mean, when I'll back up a bit and say I said what we did was we didn't say, hey, we're going to create something completely new. We wanted to attach ourselves to a market that was emerging. Right, so there's been a lot of talk about observability. I don't know if the audience would necessarily know, but let's say the observability market is basically, a lot of it is like it really is kind of the modern web application performance management market. So companies like Dynatrace or Datadog, these may be familiar names.
We've had the CMO of Datadome come on. And Databand, IBM company. I think they're in observability as well.
But there's a lot of Splunk is in there. I mean, there are a lot of companies that are going after this market, and it's basically the thing is, it's like I said, like it's the next generation of web application monitoring and performance management. So the reason we chose that is because obviously it's focused on leveraging data to manage performance in the cloud. But it uses as input, the data it uses input is logs, application logs. That's kind of the source, right? Metrics, events, logs, traces. That's kind of the raw material. What we said is like, that's great, but you actually need another data set to get the complete picture. And that other data set is network data. And so we call it deep observability. So you're going further into the infrastructure. And because there are things that you don't get with logs that you only get with network data. So logs, for people who are familiar with security, logs are often manipulated. They're suppressed as part of a security attack. So logs aren't actually reliable. They're mutable. The only thing that's not mutable is network data. We call it the ground truth. It can't be manipulated. It's basically a record of exactly what's happened. And so unless you have network data, you can't really be sure that the logs are telling you what actually happened. And so that's what we call it deep observability. It's a complement. So back to the strategy of creating the market, we didn't say, hey, we're going to create something completely new. We said we're going to tag along. We're going to ride the coattails, if you will, of this emerging, still somewhat amorphous, which means we can help shape it, market. And then we're going to carve out a niche that complements that market. That was the strategy. So that's number one. So that's kind of like the approach, right? It's like find something that's kind of emerging where you can carve out, your speciality. Because that means we're not the only ones, and that's a big part of our strategy. If we're the only ones who are saying, hey, we got this cool new market, people are going to discount it. Obviously, they're like, okay, they're,
Was there a fear that diving too deep into this new market would kind of reduce the relevance of the market that you guys are currently serving? Or did you guys think about that? And potentially creating a separate brand?
There's a link, right? There's definitely a link, because it for us is when we define deep observability, it really is what we're helping, or the goal is helping secure the hybrid cloud. So the hybrid piece is very important, because a lot of our existing customers obviously started with their data center, or then they kind of moved to colo or a private cloud. Now they've extended to multiple public clouds. And so we take our existing customers on this journey too, because we use now the same exact technology to move them or provide that visibility that they have in the data center across their complete hybrid infrastructure. So Deep Observability really is a superset of this new market and our existing market.
Yeah. And if this is going to be the future, like how quickly AI became a thing, if this is the future, you guys want to be at the forefront and be the thought leaders talking about this. Otherwise, there's probably like you said, probably tens or hundreds of companies that are going to be knocking on your clients' doors, trying to sell them that, hey, this is the future. And if you guys aren't the leaders in that space already, you guys could potentially be losing a lot. Kind of like brand identity. A lot of brands come across this. They might be the dominant player for a decade, and suddenly there's a shift in the market, and if you don't adapt to that, you're going to be behind, right?
Yeah. So we it is kind of you've got to continuously evolve, right, and continually grow. And one of the questions was, and in some cases it will happen, where your new offering or this new market you're going after will cannibalize your existing business. In our case, it's actually additive. So it hasn't happened. So we found that the fact that we have the cloud offering actually, even for customers who aren't necessarily ready to move to the cloud, or they like the fact that they know they can when they're ready, because we have this cloud offering, and actually encourages them to buy more of what they already have. And then obviously for people who are starting in the cloud, they know that, hey, there's a lot of cloud projects, as you probably know, at a certain point in maturity, organizations will bring them back, because it becomes more cost efficient to bring it back into their own data center, right? And so that's why you can see continued investment in data centers, because these applications are being repatriated for compliance reasons, for cost reasons. And so that also gives people security, is a confidence that wherever they will go in the hybrid infrastructure, we can follow with them with the offering that we have.
So cool. So talk to us about maybe like the top 2 or 3 activities that you're doing right now to create this brand awareness for this new market. Like, what are the top 2 or 3 things that you?
So you never want to be alone. So this is where I said you can't create a market by yourself, especially as a mid-sized company. If you're maybe Apple or Google, you can probably do it. But so a big part of our focus is who are the partners that are going to be see benefit in talking about this with us, and who are the analysts, obviously, because organizations obviously still look to the thought leaders. Who are the thought leaders and the analysts in the market? And so a big part of our effort has been building these partnerships. So a lot of the observability players, in fact, are our partners. Because again, we complement. We're not competing with a Splunk, or we're not competing with a Datadog or a Dynatrace. We actually are giving them data that currently they don't have access to. They have access to the logs. We're now providing them with, a very, let's say, well fine-tuned, processed network data that they can use then so they like it because they're getting more data. They charge by the data they get. They get more data, and they can cover more use cases, because seeing the network data now allows them to cover security use cases, whereas today they're largely focused on application performance use cases. So it extends their stickiness and value. They get more data. So a lot of our partners on the technology side are the cloud platform players. So AWS, Azure, GCP, kind of the standard ones. And then a lot of these observability players, because they get the data that we provide. So that's one, partnerships. The second is the analysts. It's so working hard with the analysts. And we've had a lot of success with the major analysts as well as the tier 2s in getting recognition on the importance of network data. It's not all about Gigamon, right? It's about, ultimately, we benefit when the market wakes up to the fact that, hey, in this hybrid cloud infrastructure, we need to see what's happening at the network layer. Because without that, we're going to have security blind spots and performance issues. That's all we want to hear. And then we can come in and we say, hey, we can give you an easy way to get to that data. And so analysts has been another big part of how we've gone to market. Building a community. So it's, again, community.
Huge.
I'm a big believer in community. We started that journey about 5-6 years ago. We have a few tens of thousands now of community members. And it becomes a trusted source, right? Because peers want to talk to peers. They don't want to necessarily always talk to the vendor. They want to know what the real truth is, right? What's really going on. And so building a community around this offering has been also a big part of our journey. And then getting customers to tell the story, because it's going to be a lot more effective if a Lockheed Martin or Department of Defense, where some of our reference customers, Five9, which is a technology company, or Telefonica, which is a telco, or Wyndham Resorts, if they're telling the story versus Gigamon, if they say, here's the value, that this has brought to us, it's much more impactful. So those are some of the components of, and then I can talk about the marketing tactics, because there's some interesting marketing tactics in creating a new category.
Yeah, kind of like Salesforce. They had the CMO club, right? Because Salesforce, their software is the CMOs are the one deciding to onboard with Salesforce. So they, one of the go-to-market strategies for Salesforce way back when, if you recall, is starting a club called the CMO club, and it grew to tens of thousands of CMOs in a club. It's just CMOs sharing resources with each other. And then they started building conferences and events and meetups all on top of that. I would love to dive into the tactical piece about the community, because that seems to be the secret sauce. Like the analysts and the partners, pretty well understood what's going on there. Talk to us a little bit about what's going on with the community, the tactical piece. 10,000 members, who are they, and what are you doing to engage with them?
Yeah. So as we started journey, about 5-6 years ago, and a big part of it, and this became even more apparent to me and a real benefit during the COVID years when we didn't have the ability to kind of meet face to face is that, and this is a big part of my belief in brand in general, is you want to be, first of all, an authentic brand, true to who you are. If you truly have the best interests of the customers at heart, and actually it starts with, we talked about this before, I think we came on live here. It starts with actually having your employees first mentality.
Yeah.
Take care of your employees, they'll take care of your customers. But I'm a big believer in being authentic and being helpful. And that may in the short term cost you, right? It may be you're giving out free education, you're giving away software, you're giving away things that normally you could charge for, you would charge for, but you decide to do it because it feels like the right thing to do at the time. And that will come back to serve you. And so we have, as a company, a customer satisfaction score that is, well above industry benchmark, because first of all, we are an employee first company. So that's one of our core values. We really take care of our employees, and they really, really care about our customer. And so at the heart of it is the community is there to help. We're there to educate, provide services.
Is it like a Slack community or like a Facebook group or like
we have a portal. It's a Salesforce, based on Salesforce in the back end. It's a portal, and you can go. I mean, you don't have to be a member to just go and find out what's going on. But then when you're a member, obviously you get rewards. You get to be able to post things. But so that's grown significantly since we started. And we're not like an open source company. I was a company before that was open source, and obviously that, by definition, is a community-based organization.
Yeah.
We're a high-end, B2B technology company focused on the global 5,000, and so you wouldn't think normally, hey, this is kind of like your profile of a typical community-based company, but we have a very vibrant, and I think it's like 20,000 members now.
Wow.
Very vibrant community.
And who are the typical community members? Who are usually what are the faces?
Yeah, the profile tend to be a lot of the kind of the doers and the managers. So these are like network engineers or security architects, cloud, architects. These are the folks who are involved in the kind of day-to-day of how do you deploy, how do you take care, make sure your infrastructure is secure, how do you make sure it's performant, and then obviously we're there to answer questions about the product specifically, but also help out in terms of the challenges that they're facing.
Right, and I assume there are probably a lot of other communities out there that are similar, probably a lot of Substack groups, maybe Reddit. How does Gigamon stand out? Like, are you doing a lot of in real life activations to engage with them? Maybe conferences. I know you guys do a lot of events as well.
We do a lot of events.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a lot of events, and they tend to be so. Either there will be events, and we've started doing more and more of our own, sort of bringing, going on the road, if you will, especially in the last year or so, we've done more of that. But we'll also participate. We'll go to where there are community gatherings, right? So they will go to the big tech shows, right? That's where obviously we'll find our audience as well, whether it be big security shows or networking shows, the cloud shows, and then lots of regional events. So I think when we talked, we do hundreds and hundreds of events a year.
You were saying you guys do about 500-600 events per year or something crazy like
so that? So they're not all in person. So these are also digital, or on demand virtual events. But we fund and manage directly lots of events ourselves, and then working with our hundreds, thousands of channel partners, we'll do events with them. and that's all across the globe. So I think I mentioned to you, it's basically
Amazing.
an event every day, every morning, noon, and night of every working day of the year. Right? Is we're busy somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, so hot sauce question.
Okay.
You got all these things going on: brand awareness, events, working with partners, analysts, community. It's all these things going on. How much do you think you spend per month or per year in marketing? Like, what's your marketing budget?
Yeah, it'll be a hot sauce. I'll probably get into trouble if I divulge that. So it's a lot, but never enough.
Okay, all right. That is the easy way. Okay, I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go up a little bit. Gonna try this habanero ghost mix.
Ooh.
Yeah, see how this goes.
All right, good luck.
Before we do this, ballpark 5% revenue, 2%. Is there ballpark?
If I give you a percent, you know what the revenue is. So nice try.
Right. Sorry. Oh my God, I totally forgot. All right, cheers.
Cheers. Oh.
Oh my God.
How is that?
Not good. Oh. Okay. Wow. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about more. Let's talk about you a little bit as a CMO. Like, your background is pretty incredible. Like, you've worked at Data Stacks.
Yeah.
You've also worked at you worked at SAP for about 7 years, early stage in your career.
Yeah.
Became VP of a company called Kickfire, and then kind of GM for several different companies. And now you hold you held a couple of board member seats as well.
Yep.
What do you think makes you such an amazing marketer? Like, what is the superpower that gets you things done that maybe a lot of marketers don't have?
I think everyone has, everyone will have their uniqueness, right? And I always encourage, when I'm mentoring, is, look for your secret sauce, right? Don't try necessarily be someone else. You will have something unique to contribute. And
I think I found it. I think I found my secret sauce.
Okay.
It's sauce.
Yeah, you'll have something unique. So it's about coming to recognize that and then nurturing it, and then also recognizing where you're not as strong and where you can do with help, either through your own development or partnering and building a team around you to support you, right? So that's kind of like general philosophy I have. Now, in terms of me specifically, I think at the heart, I would say a product marketer. As you mentioned, I've done a lot of different things through my career. I've done M&A, corporate strategy, and I did that at Business Objects, part of SAP. I've been head of product. I was at an open source company called Jasper Software as head of product. I've done alliances. I've been a GM a number of times with the cloud business at Jaspersoft, and then at TIPCO, and then being a CMO. So I'm not your career CMO. So, but if you look and kind of uncover everything, like a product strategist, product marketer is kind of where I would say my core strength lies, and that is in, there's so much complexity that trying to see through the complexity to the heart of an issue, or the what is the opportunity in the market, and then being able to tell a story around that. I think that's kind of where, seeing the forest for the trees, identifying this is why I came to this company. There's kind of a bit of a diamond in the rough, right? For me at the time, where it was like, okay, but I saw this opportunity to be able to take this great technology, this company with an amazing culture, and then bring it into the, to the cloud era, if you will. And I think we've been able to, and obviously this is not just, Karl Vandenberg, this is very much a team effort, is bringing this company and transforming this company. And it really is on a tear at the moment. And so that's, I think, my kind of the core of where I think I can add the most value.
So like product marketing, product
strategy, or
storytelling, go-to market, right? Like that's kind of like just overall, kind of like the strategy, like the 10,000 foot level,
right? Exactly.
Strategist.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, this, we have a lot of CMOs, CEOs, and founders come on the show. These are the three kind of, I guess, the titles that come on the show.
Yeah.
And we talk to a lot of people. We ask this question a lot, superpower. And there's one thing that's kind of like, there's like an overarching theme. And you alluded to this many, many times. You keep talking about your team. Like, none of this is just you.
Yep.
How important do you think it is for marketers that are listening that are maybe in the manager level, maybe VP level, and just like, or just call it manager level, mid-level marketer?
Yeah.
That's the thing that separates mid-level marketers from what I hear, mid-level versus CMO, like getting to that next level, is just like how well do you work with people and how well can you see the strengths and put people at the right seats and making sure all the pieces of the machine is working together. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I cannot overemphasize the importance of relationships in general. And, candidly, this has been a journey for me too. And I would say, it starts with being self-aware, right? You have to know and be willing to look at yourself objectively and say, okay, I'm good here, I'm not so good here, so I need to work on this and I need to get people to help me. So it starts with humility, candidly. And a lot of the greatest leaders, certainly leaders that I admire, are fundamentally quite humble, right? Which makes them approachable, which helps them bring out the best in others. Because if you walk around with a big ego and you think you know everything, you're not going to get a lot of help. You're not going to like collaboration. You're not going to get the best out of others because everyone has something to contribute. And that's probably the secret, right? Is in collaboration is really bringing out the best in others. And then, to your point, is building teams is, okay, knowing what the strengths are, where they will fit, where they can best do, what they do, and then how it fits in the overall picture. And I said, look, this for me, it's a journey. Still, I'm still constantly learning. I think earlier in my career, and it's a good way to kind of to deconstruct the challenge or the opportunity in building relationships. I was good, I think, managing up. I think I was decent managing down. I was actually not great at managing across. And if you're familiar with Patrick Lencioni's, which kind of is a management philosophy, he wrote the book. One of his famous books is The Five Dysfunctions, right? And then he wrote another book called The Advantage. A big believer in his work, but he will tell you your most important team is what he calls the first team. And it's not the team that you manage, it's the team that you're part of, is your peers. Yeah. And he goes into the reason why that's the case. But that was a lesson. It took me a long time to figure it out.
And this was your biggest weakness. And so you started reading books to get better in this area.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of happenstance that I kind of found it. And then I was like, okay, yeah, it took me a while for me to click. Because, it's obvious you're working with your manager. You want to look good in their eyes and you want to advance your career. So that's kind of an obvious focus. The team that you manage, obviously you've hired them or you're working with them on a day-to-day basis. Your peers, especially at an executive level, you don't necessarily, unless you choose to, get to interact with them obviously you have your staff meeting once a week or whatever, but unless you focus on building those relationships, they're not naturally necessarily going to develop. And so it's been a bigger focus for me. My boss will tell me he was the one who's certainly continued to encourage me in that direction. But that's been my area of growth. But I would say relationships in general, back to your original question, super important. Team is super important in the success of any individual.
Yeah. Okay. I know we're like coming close to our scheduled time. Do you still have like 10 minutes or something
good.
you want to?
Yep.
Yeah. I wanna try there's a segment on the show that we started a month and a half ago to make the show even more light and more fun than it already is. I'm gonna be telling you 3 jokes on this show.
Okay. Yeah.
In the next few seconds. If you laugh at any of the 3 jokes, you're gonna take another sip of your hot sauce. And if you don't laugh at all 3 of the jokes, then I will drink. But if you laugh for one and you don't laugh for a few, then we'll just both do it together.
Okay.
That's fair? All right. So I got 3 jokes for you. And I don't know how good these are going to be. All right. How do you deal with the fear of speed bumps?
I don't know.
You're on the road. I don't know. You just slowly get over it.
That's good one. Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
All right. We got a second one. Can a kangaroo jump higher than a house?
No idea.
Of course, because houses can't jump.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. You got me. That's good.
All right. Did I ruin my camera? Okay. Well, you know what? I if you don't laugh on this one, then we'll do it together. We'll do this one together. Okay. Yeah, you're not gonna laugh at this one. I'll give this one to you. Okay. If 2 vegetarians get into an argument, is it still called beef?
This is called beef. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah, I enjoyed them.
Yeah. All right. So I'll do this one with you. We'll do it together. Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, you're going for it.
I don't think I've managed not to cough every time I've had it.
Yeah. So you really don't do any hot sauce at all, eh? Like just
really?
Personal life? No?
Yeah, very rarely. I mean, my wife's from the Philippines, and they don't have a lot of hot sauce, but at least it's a little bit closer. You know,
a bit closer. Yeah.
So we have a little bit of that. But yeah, we're not a hot sauce family, that's for sure.
Yeah. You mentioned a little bit. We'll close off in about 5 minutes here. You mentioned a little bit about some people that you looked up to. You have some mentors that you look up to and kind of taught you how to be a leader. Who are some of these mentors? Can you name any of them?
Yeah, so I would say a couple of my former bosses. I'd say my current boss. He's also Irish, so I'm Irish. You wouldn't get it from my name, but I was born and raised in Ireland. Weird last name for my dad, who's from Belgium. But
right.
Yeah. But I'm Irish, and then lived in different parts of Europe and came over to the States. So, but my current boss, CEO of the company, is also Irish, and he's an incredible operator. He very good at prioritizing what needs to be done, focusing, and so we've got 3 simple areas of focus for the company, which is make our number, right, accelerate and grow in the cloud, and then M&A. sort of our third way of growing. And
Yeah.
but he's taught me, I would say, ruthless prioritization is kind of a big one, and then just operational excellence. And then a former CEO boss at the open source company I mentioned, JasperSoft.
Jasper.
Yeah.
Is that the same as Jasper AI,
No,
the tool, or
no.
completely different?
No.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
different company. It's part of TIPCO, and how I ended up at TIPCO. They he was just a really, he emphasized, and he was the one who actually got me onto the Patrick Lencioni thing, was he really emphasized the importance of that team culture. And then being a great team is not, it's not just about getting along, right? It's not like, hey, we love each other and we get on so well. That actually can be a weakness if you don't combine it with being authentic. So being true and being able
100%.
to have difficult conversations is the only way you get to be a great team. And so that combination of the soft and the hard, of like, you get on well and you're willing to have tough conversations in an authentic way that really advances the business. That was kind of the key lesson I learned from him.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's kind of what we do with my team. I have a couple. I started a couple of businesses, and my team is a lot younger. Right, the average age is between 22 to 25, so very different, probably from your immediate team. But we play games every single week for team bonding because we're all from, different parts of the world. So that's the fun piece. But then for the authenticity piece, every single month we have what we call e-therapy sessions, where we sit down and you can just unload and you can say anything. It's a safe space. You can say whatever you want to any colleague or any team member that dropped the ball and you kind of felt upset about, that you couldn't share during the day-to-day operations. And it's like a time to unload, and it all starts with the leader. The leader has to show the way. If the leader can be authentic and say things, then everyone else will follow behind the leader. So
and I think what's important, and that's fantastic that you're doing that. What's important is you make the problem is the focus, not the person, right? It is the
exactly.
Here's what we want to solve for, so we can all get better and we can all benefit and we can move the company forward and we can all advance in our careers. It's not a personal thing, but making that distinction, I think, is an important part of the process too.
Yeah. One last question, and then we'll wrap up. Obviously, you had some great mentors in your life, and your career has grown a lot as well. And you've probably picked up new skills and tactics and strengths along the way after each role. But everything started, what I find, with your parents and things that your parents, mom and dad, taught you. Those things that you learn as a kid always stay with you for the rest of your life. And you probably kept the biggest things that you've learned from your parents. What do you think, and which parent taught you your number one strength that you took to you in your business world? Who was the parent and what did they teach you?
I'd say my dad. He was an entrepreneur. He built and ran a successful business in a completely different space in engineering and the food industry. And it was his discipline and determination, I think perseverance, that is, for me, I'm a big believer in taking challenges and turning them into opportunities. And he was someone who exemplified that in his life. Just an incredible man from that perspective.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, this has been an amazing conversation, Karl. Thank you. I felt like we were just having a drink and shooting hot sauce together on a balcony. That's what it honestly felt like today. Really appreciate your time, your authenticity, and just, you tried to answer everything the best you could. I know I gave you a few curveballs in there.
But it was great. I really enjoyed the conversation, Simon. Wish you all the best in all your endeavors and your entrepreneurship. and look forward to staying connected. And hope the
Yeah.
audience enjoys the conversation. And I'm available on LinkedIn if people want to reach out.
Yes. I was just going to ask you about social. LinkedIn is the number one place for people to reach out to you?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, Karl, maybe part 2 in the new year to see how things are going in 2024. Well, TBD. But thank you so much for coming on, and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk soon.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Hey, hope you enjoyed that episode. I know I did. My mouth was burning on fire for about 30 minutes there, so I had to take a quick break before I recorded this, but I really just wanted to say thank you for tuning in. Most of us work at home nowadays, and we're all just in our pajamas, in our t-shirts, and in our hoodies. It just feels really fun and really light, and that's the kind of vibe that I'm trying to give. If there's anything that you want to add into the show, new segments or new topics to talk about, feel free to throw it into the comments below. Thank you so much again. Would not be here without your support. Until next time, peace out. Hope to see you soon.